Hello and welcome to another episode of my 50th year vlog, which now extends way beyond my 50th year. Well, about a month so far. I decided to keep it going because I enjoy doing it, and this week I am actually in Moscow. Well, a very good morning to you from Moscow. I'm in a hotel room. I'm working out here for a couple of days. I don't know if you can see the hashtag DGO there. I come out a day early because I always wanted to have a look around Moscow. So I booked myself on one of those walking tours that seemed to work so well when the President Mrs. Kamsel and I were in Finland. So I've got a whole day out, and one of the other things with this particular walking tour is that I get to sample apparently some of the local food. When I work away by myself, one of the things that I actually hate most of all is you just end up sitting in restaurants by yourself, and it's really not much fun. So yeah, I thought this might be an opportunity to actually meet some other people and eat some food which isn't hotel food. So that's where I'm off to today. I believe we're having a look around the main sites, so Red Square and all that. We're going to look at the metro stations as well, or a couple of metro stations, which are, I am led to believe, cathedral-like in their construction. Apparently it's quite famous. And then the eating bit is in the afternoon. So I've had a big breakfast, so I don't need any lunch. Hopefully that'll see me through until, according to the itinerary, pickled cabbage time. Hey! So this is my guide, Valentina. Valentina is extremely knowledgeable about the history of Russia and Moscow, and also extremely knowledgeable about the architecture as well. So we went on this tour. Bizarrely, the first thing on the tour, the first thing on the tour was a statue of Pushkin. The second item on the tour was the first McDonald's in Moscow, which is quite famous. I'm sure a lot of people will remember that when McDonald's first came to Moscow, there were queues around the corner. So the McDonald's behind me is actually a McDonald's of huge importance. This is the first McDonald's that was in Moscow in 1990. Apparently it had been in the offing for 20 years. When it was built, a Big Mac would cost you a month's wages, and yet people were queuing around the block. I'm going to show you where they were queuing from and to, just to see what people would do to get a Big Mac in 1990 in Moscow. There's lots of different architecture around, which is quite fascinating. Some other fascinating things are how they made way for buildings. They picked up entire buildings and moved them so that they could make way for new things. There's one particular building where the story goes that there was a slave who bought himself freedom and then started a famous bakery in Moscow. He built this shop, which is still there today. It's obviously in a very different guise in modern Moscow, but it is still the most incredibly ornate building. I've never seen anything like it. That in itself was amazing. And then the next part of the tour, we went down to Red Square and we saw the changing of the guard. The guard is not the guard outside the Kremlin. It is outside the Kremlin, but it's actually it's a monument to the unknown soldier. Similar to ones that they have all across the world, but this one, there are two guards who are there out of respect. I think that they're 24/7. They're certainly there during the day. They're not allowed to move, and they change the guard over, and it's quite a spectacular ceremony. It's very, very formal. I don't know if you can hear me or let alone see me, but I am genuinely very, very excited about being here. Hopefully you could see this in the background. That is the cathedral that's in Red Square. So having not been able to come to Moscow when we did our original European tour, I'm working here for a couple of days. There was a bit of a delay, so I managed to get a wander and I'm in Red Square. Take a look at this. I wanted to come back to Red Square at night because I'd seen some lights in the day and they looked pretty cool. But I'll be honest, I was not expecting this. This is GUM, the shopping centre, and there's some spectacular lighting going on there. This is a street I actually wanted to video, and the lights in the street, but you can't actually see it because of all the lights from the shopping centre. But oh my god, it is spectacular. Naturally, for the occasion, there's a load of work going on. They're actually putting up a fun fair. I guess that's in readiness for Christmas, but this kind of in some small way makes up for having to cancel my party, which I was very, very disappointed about cancelling my party, but now I've got to see Red Square, which I've always wanted to see for pretty much most of my life. So yeah, I'm in my 51st year now, but I did see it. This is cool. Look at this. This isn't whingy. This is happy. This is what my happy face looks like, Claire. On the subject of Christmas, there's a bit of a weird thing here. They do celebrate Christmas, but because of the communist era, the main holiday for a long time has been New Year. So they have what looks like Santa Claus, but is actually not Santa Claus. Apparently he's called Father Frost. He's thinner, he's got a different kind of coat and a very long beard, and he doesn't wear glasses, I know that. But he also has a granddaughter. Her name roughly translates as Snow, but I can't actually pronounce it in Russian. So that's been the main sort of celebration, but of course, as things change, Christmas and New Year are both sort of getting wrapped into one here now. So you're seeing Christmas as well as a New Year's celebration, but they really do it with style. There's some big trees and decorations about all over the place. After we'd looked at Red Square, we went down into the Moscow metro. Now, I knew that the Moscow metro was a tourist attraction. I'd heard about it, I'd read about this, but until you get down there, you don't fully appreciate quite what a spectacular place it is. We went round a few metro stations, some of the real key ones. So the first one we went to, there's a load of statues. Bearing in mind, this is a metro station. This is like when you go down to Green Park Station in London. This is just an underground station. And there's the story of Russia and the struggle of Russia moving through the ages in these bronze statues. It's quite dark and it looks like a museum in its own right. We then went on to look at some other metro stations, and we particularly had a look at, there was a couple of Art Deco stations, which are fabulous, huge, open, airy spaces. And then there's a lot of other stations with mosaics in them. And the mosaics are just incredible. There's one with mosaics and gold leaf. It is just, it literally is like a cathedral under the ground. So the metro was a real, that was a real unexpected surprise. I knew it was a thing, but honestly, until you've seen it, you cannot believe these underground stations. It really is an incredible thing, and if you ever come to Moscow, it's definitely worth going to have a look at those stations. At the last part of our tour, we went down to a market, and this market has existed for a very long time, but recently, within the 21st century, they've put a cover over the market, and it's now one of those kind of sort of food festival type markets that you find. There's lots of local produce in there, or traditional produce. But there's also lots of different cuisines from across the world as well. So because I had Valentina there to guide me through this, she took me through to try some traditional Russian food, which I have to say, some of it I'm a fan of, some of it not so much. So the first thing we tried was pickles. Now, I know it sounds pretty grim, but pickled garlic, turns out, is very, very nice. As I was trying the pickles, there were different pickled things that were put in front of me. Pickled apples, not as bad as you might think, but probably not my favourite thing. Right up to jalapenos, which I've had before, but the other thing they got me to try was a spoonful of horseradish, so that pretty much ruined my taste buds for the rest of the day. Did clear the old nasal passages out though, which is nice. Thanks for that, Valentina. Then we went on to try some other foods. We tried lard. Yes, lard. The lard we tried was pork fat, and there were two types. There was salted pork fat and smoked pork fat. As far as I could gather, this is to bulk out the diet. Valentina was insistent that it's not unhealthy, but I can't believe for a second that eating a plate of fat is in any way good for you. I'm here, I survived. It's actually quite tasty, especially the salted one. I really quite like that. You know, it's not something that we don't do. I can remember certainly my nan doing bread and dripping back in the day. But yeah, it was an experience. I can't see myself, going home thinking, you know what, I need lard sandwiches tomorrow. Probably not my bag, but it was very nice. Next thing we had was some caviar. I think I've had caviar before, but I don't particularly remember having it. So we had the red caviar, which is from salmon, and was very fresh caviar. So I had that with some local rye bread. That was very tasty. Enjoyed that a lot. Moving round, tried some honey. Loads of different types of honey. The sweet honeys I quite liked, but there were two which were a little bit iffy. One was bulgur wheat honey. That had a really strange flavour. I imagine if you're using it in cooking, it's probably nice. Wouldn't want a bulgur wheat honey sandwich, nor would I want a chestnut honey sandwich. That was a very odd flavour. Favourite one? Apple honey. Yeah, apple blossom honey. That's the one to go for. Last thing we had was some traditional Russian dumplings and some borscht. I've had borscht before, but never had it in Moscow. That was spectacular. That was really, really nice. One of the things about the tour I did, it was quite expensive, but it lasted all day, and I'm here by myself. One of the things that really is quite dull when you're in a country by yourself is sitting in restaurants by yourself. Usually I end up in the hotel, not going out, because you don't want to be Norman no mates. And so actually having the opportunity to go out, be talking to someone, and for a meal to be a little bit more social, I think was worth the extra. But like I say, it was a great tour. I got loads and loads of history, bombarded with loads of history from Russia, and it's now less than 12 hours later. I've pretty much forgotten all of that. The tour I did was with Urban Adventures, and I think I found it through TripAdvisor. They only do small group tours. I think they do stuff all over the world, but it really was good. I can highly recommend them. So that was my day yesterday. I'm working today. Hopefully I will have time to put this vlog together at some point and get it out before I'm 60. Who knows? In the meantime, I forgot to do this on the last one. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe down below. I'm still keen to get my 1,000 viewers. YouTube have still got my 30 quid. I still want it. I think I've deserved it. I've come to Moscow. I think I've earned it. Like, comment, subscribe down below. And if you could turn on post notifications, that'd be great. Apparently. I will hopefully catch you again soon. I've got one more trip to do before Christmas, going to Paris. Been there before already once this year. But anyway, in the meantime, thanks for watching. Bye.